Greetings, all praise King Selassie. So, discussing the word anti-Semitism. This is a hot topic, because recently there's been a bill to go after people that are labeled anti-Semitic. Of course, the perception being once somebody's labeled, the world will look at that person with disdain. And the idea now is not to crucify people or burn them at the stake. It's to harm people's image, or sometimes considered reputation, so that they won't be listened to, that their view won't be taken into account. From the small amount of research I've done, and I say small because you can do an infinite amount of research and still never read everything in your lifetime. So in the relative scheme of things, my research has been relatively, less than great. However, even the little bit of research I have done, I have come to the conclusion that you cannot be a member of a religion unless you abide in that religion's values. This is near and dear to myself, because before I even knew what the word Semitic was, I had made a decision to follow the word as set forth in the Holy Scripture to guide my persons in the course of my life. And I've come to discover, it's easier said than done, that most people prefer not to actually read from the Scripture, but prefer to join congregations and to wait for the leaders of those congregations to tell them or interpret what the Scripture says. This is an indication that people are not actually willing to know the truth, that they'd rather put themselves in a box to believe that they know the truth without actually doing the necessary digging to uncover thereof. And you can find all different kinds of churches. You can go to the Jehovah's Witness, you could go to the Church of Rome, the Church of God, the Baptists, the Methodists, the Presbyterians, the Lutherans, and similarly with the faith known as Judaism. There are different systems of belief therein. However, most of these congregations actually neglect the law. And sometimes, the writings of Paul are used, even to Christ, as an excuse to say, well, the law's been done away with. Well, that never really sat right with myself. I think that Paul believed that when you follow the law, you came to have faith. That before Paul was Paul and Paul was Saul, he worked as a Roman soldier, and he killed believers. And so it is reasonable to assume that he didn't have faith in Creator, Iway. And after he had his vision, apparently he began to follow the law, and in doing so came to have faith. So he sees faith as kind of as the result of the works of the law. That's important because, you can believe a law exists but not follow it or not do the works of the law, and it will be of none effect. Even Paul says in his writings that faith without works is dead. So that works is the following of the law as set forth by Creator, given to our forefather Moses and carried through the Christ and into the modern day by His Majesty King Selassie, who is known to be King of Israel. Israel representing Jacob and the 12 sons. Now, certain individuals believe that they're chosen because they were born in a certain family, and sometimes because they converted as proselytes, that they're given this superiority to rule over others. And it seems that they are lawless, that they think that the law is outdated from the scripture, and that there's a new law that they have the authority to subscribe onto others. This does not make you a Jew. Now, I understand that Jew is actually of the tribe of Judah, although I know that in the New Testament and even maybe parts of the latter in the prophecies in the Old Testament, that word had been applied more generally. However, it is specific to a certain people that choose to follow the works set forth by their Maker. And certain individuals, such as the Rothschilds, are wealthy beyond comprehension. They call themselves Jews. If anyone cares to venture to learn just a smidget of their lifestyle, they may come to determine that these people actually don't follow the law, that they write the law for others to follow, and it is not a just law. So it would be the epiphany of evil to discard the original law in favor of a man-made law, and that is what has been done. Capital is obviously used as a tool to draw in populations to the cause, to further make the appearance of legitimizing those actions. The place we know as Palestine has been taken over and occupied violently to establish what some call is Zion. Now, when we read from the scripture, we know Zion is not necessarily this physical place. In fact, it actually represents the law within our hearts, and therefore the coming of the kingdom of the Christ. This is a topic for another discussion during the study. Yet, for this to have occurred is blasphemy. To use Jacob's name to rationalize the occupation and murder, theft and lies of a native people. I just don't think you have to have, some kind of a degree in, as a religious, and from a religious institution to discover that this is wrong. And to be sitting on the top with all your yachts and planes and land and mansions, enormous wealth, pulling the strings, cannot be the way that the Creator envisioned His people. It is written in the Scripture not to take usury from your brother. Of course, if you can huddle into a corner and present the appearance that you have been given this great authority to be chosen to carry out the deeds of the Father, then you may convince others that you're in the right, and therefore continue to oppress your brothers and sisters. Yet for how long? These white supremacy groups are tools. They work for these associations that want to create the appearance of that they are being attacked, that their lifestyle, first of all, is legitimate, right? Because the white supremacist organizations always refer to these people as Jews, so they give them that legitimacy right away. And then, of course, you can tell the followers that are providing the capital, providing the work, and that bourgeois, middle class level to keep the oppressed down, that what they're doing is what's God's intended purpose for them, and continue to repeat the cycle to enrich those, such as the Rothschilds, that sit at the top. Business people don't have integrity. They just are out for themselves, and they are willing to use any device they can to continue to produce wealth for themselves. And when you know how business-minded people think, then it's a no-brainer how we have gotten to this place. So, in short, if you don't follow a law set forth in the Scripture, then you're not a Jew, neither Hebrew.